Hello, it's Mark from Cars and Cameras, and today we have two top-of-the-line headphones. We have the AirPods Max, and we have the Sony, and these are the WH-1000XM4s. These are the top-of-the-line headphones from Sony. These are their wireless headphones that are really cool and have really a lot of bass to them, and so I'm going to talk all about that. And then we have the AirPod Pros here, which are really cool, and we're going to talk about those too and what I think of them. So basically what I did is I used these headphones for 1 month. I compared them up against each other, and I tested the sound, I tested the noise canceling, and we're going to talk all about that. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about the noise canceling. So the first thing that I did is I ride my exercise bike, and I have a Schwinn Aerodyne. It is very noisy. And I had another set of Sony, an older set of Sony headphones, and those headphones just did not cut out the noise. It was really hard to listen to music or listen to a podcast or watch a movie while I'm riding my exercise bike. So the first thing I did is these came first. So I tested out the Sony WH-1000XM4s, and I was so surprised in how well these headphones canceled out the noise on that bike. It was amazing, and it is really noisy, that bike, I have to tell you. There's a lot of noise. Now, comparing the noise cancellation in that loud environment on that bike to these, I would say that the Sonys have the edge compared to these. Now, where I will say these are about the same is like standard like talking voices and, you know, like kind of standard noises and stuff like that. They're about the same. But the interesting thing is about using these for about a month that I noticed that when I first got these, there's like this compression, almost like up against, almost like if you took your hands and covered up your ears. That's how solid these fit on your ears. And I noticed that when I was wearing these, it was kind of awkward. It almost felt like this kind of pressure. You don't feel that with the Sonys. After wearing them for about 3 weeks, I noticed that, and I've been wearing these daily, by the way. I've been testing them back and forth. Really wanted to get a real world review of what these things can do. By wearing them for so much, I noticed that these have started to loosen their elasticity. And they're not as tight around the ears as they once were. I don't know if it's these cushions breaking in. I have no idea. But I noticed that where the noise canceling, the Sonys always seemed a little bit better, but these seem to have gotten a little bit worse over time, especially when I'm riding the bike. I don't notice it with a regular noise canceling, like canceling out like normal kind of talking voices, but in a loud environment on the bike, on the exercise bike, I noticed that these don't seem to work as well as when I first got them. So I don't know if this is kind of, like I said, lost its elasticity. It's gotten a little bit looser. I don't know. But these have been great in that regard, okay? So let's move on to the next thing on what kind of the features on these things and what I think of them. So let's talk about kind of the pros and cons here. All right, now on this one, what's really cool is you simply pair it to your device, and I've been using it on Apple devices. Now, an interesting thing is Sony says that you can pair these to 2 devices, and basically that's true. I paired them to my iPad, and I paired them to my phone first. As I switched back and forth to each device, it would pick up, and when I was using the iPad, it would switch to it kind of on its own. And that's kind of cool because my older Sony ones would not do that. Once you paired it to one device, you were kind of stuck with it. Now, another thing I did is I decided to pair it to my computer because I want to use them for listening to music and riding my bike, and then also use it while I'm editing my videos on the computer. So when I did that, I went ahead and paired them to the computer, and I was wondering if they would lose their connectivity to the other devices. Well, what I found out is they didn't. All I had to do was just go into Bluetooth and just basically tell it to connect. Every time I used it to the computer. When I went back and used it to the other 2 devices, which are my phone and on my iPad, it went ahead and switched to those automatically. So here, this works really well. Now, that's something to talk about because when you're using this, and you're in the Apple ecosystem like I am, the AirPods Max, they just go ahead and connect to any device that you use them with. You don't have to worry. There's no going into settings or anything like that and telling it to connect. the minute you pick up a device, it might take a few seconds, but it's just going to go ahead and connect to it and work. So that is an advantage with these. Okay, so that is a cool feature about these. Now the next thing I want to talk about is sound. And they're very similar when it comes to the sound, but the thing is, these Sonys have a lot more bass to them. They really do. If you like a lot of bass, the Sonys are the way to go. Also, the Sonys feature an app that you can use, and I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. This is the Sony app, and I'm going to go ahead and connect. So let me go ahead and turn the headphones on. Now, that's another thing I want to show you is with the Sonys, you have a power switch to turn the headphones on and off. And with the Apple, with these headphones, they're on all the time. And that's something I want to talk about in a minute because that actually is a problem. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go into sound here. And what's really nice about the Sonys is that when you go into sound, you can see here, now I have this set to a custom setting, and you can't do this with the Apple, the AirPod Max headphones. You basically have preset, and this one does too. Basically, when you go in, you have your settings here, and this is similar to what you have on the, back here. This is similar to like what you have on the, when you use these, the Apple headphones. But the difference is, here you can go into manual, and when you do that, you can go ahead and you can dial in what you want to do. So you can dial in the equalizer while you're listening to something. You can go ahead and control it and dial in whatever you want, however you want to set it. And another cool thing is these have a tremendous amount of bass boost, and you control that right here. So you can take it all the way up to maximum, basically whatever you want to do. So that's really nice with these headphones is you can control that, which is really cool. And you don't have that much control with the AirPod Max. So you can see here, now I have it set, the EQ set to rock, and that actually for me, what I found by testing them, that seemed to be the best setting. But this is what you have here. So you basically, by default, it's set to off, and you have all these settings. You can see the acoustic, dance, and I've tried them all. I played with them. And another one that I like is I've tried the treble booster, and it really depends on what you're listening to. But I would say, generally, between the pop and the rock seem to be the best settings that I like anyway when I use this. But I would really like it if it was like the Sony, where I could go ahead and dial it in exactly the way I want. All right, so the thing is about these Sonys is they're extremely light. So they're made out of some kind of like, I don't know, it's some kind of like maybe polycarbonate material, and there's kind of a matte finish to them. And they're very light. That's the thing about the Sonys, they're extremely light. And I wanted to talk about the power switch because you don't have a power switch with the Apple, with the AirPods. Now, let me show you something. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm gonna put it up to the microphone here.
Power on. Bluetooth. Power off.
So what's cool about the Sonys is it has a power switch, and it tells you actually when you're wearing them if they're on or off. And then if you tap the switch, it will tell you, see if we can hear it.
Battery fully charged.
I don't know if you could hear that, but it said battery fully charged. So that's a really nice feature. On here, when you're wearing them, this is your control center. So on these, your volume is here. So basically you turn this crown for your volume, and then if you want to pause the music, you can press here. So that's basically your control center. Also, when you push down on this, you can also address Siri, and you can ask her, what your battery level is. You can get those kind of questions and things like that. Now, the downside to these headphones is there's no power switch. And basically, when you stop using them, I've charged these several times. I've only charged these a few times, and there's a reason for that. It's not that the battery is not as good on the AirPods Max. The difference is you have to put them in their little case. And it comes with this ridiculous case. In fact, I haven't even taken out the plastic, but this is the case. And it looks like a little purse, and this is something I will never use. But when you put your headphones in this case, that's when they go into like a low standby mode. Now, I've been told, but with firmware updates, that you don't have to use that as much. But what the reality of that is, because when these headphones have sat overnight and I've used them, they've dropped significantly. And so they're just staying on in standby. So it would be really nice if these had just a power switch to turn them on and off. I mean, I understand it's like have it on the ready and ready to go, but in my opinion, it's kind of ridiculous. You know, when you have the Sonys here, I mean, here's the switches here. So what you have is you have this custom button and you have this power switch. And basically how it works is, how I have it set up is this is what I can turn the noise canceling on and off with this button here. And you have the power switch. It's very simple. But with these, you don't have that. So these will run down. And that's kind of a downside of these headphones. This is one of those lightning ports like you have on like the phones. And I understand why they did that, because they probably figure, well, you know, it's the same charging cable. But really, we all know that probably on the next iPhone, it's going to go USB-C. So I really think that probably the next version of these is going to have a USB-C on here. So that's kind of, and these are expensive, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on with these things. They are cool. They are made out of a really nice, this is like an aluminum material. It's almost like the same material that the computers are made out of. And it is nice that these are replaceable and they kind of stick on magnetically. But let's talk about these, okay? These things are like $69, you know, everything is expensive here, okay? And then let's talk about these, okay? Now, these have been marked down recently, but the cheapest price for a new pair of these, you know, I think these retail on the Apple site for close to $550, and I've seen them for, well, I paid a little bit more, but I think I've seen these for about $450 right now as of making this video. And the Sonys here, these are about $350, and you know, you can find them on sale every once in a while. Like I said, I picked these up about a month ago, and I paid about $100 less than that. All right, so let's talk more about the sound of these things and what I think of them, because obviously, you know, you guys at home, you can't listen to them. So let's talk about the sound. The sound of them, like I said earlier, is very similar, but these have a lot more bass. So if you like to listen to music and you want like a subwoofer in your ears, these are the headphones to get. You'll be very happy with these. They have incredible bass. In fact, as I've gotten used to listening to these, because these are nowhere near have the same amount of bass, they have a nice tight bass sound, but nothing like these. These are like earth shaking. And you saw there in the app, you can totally control it. And one thing I want to talk about with that app is that when you're using that app, once you set it in that app, it's going to use it. So if you turn on HBO Max or you watch YouTube videos or you're listening to your music apps, the whole month that I've been using this, it's stayed locked into that same amount of sound. So that's something to think about with these. Now, another thing I want to talk about is weight. So the weight of these things are really heavy. Where these are like light as a feather, these are extremely heavy. They really are. Now, when you're wearing them, the weight, you don't notice it so much. It's really not so bad. And let's talk about wearing them, okay? When you're wearing these, okay, let's talk about how you control these and you're listening to music. Now, when you're in the music app, when you're listening to these, you control the, like if you want to advance a song or go back, it's all by tapping this, okay? And then of course, this is your volume. Now here's one thing I found, it's kind of a little bit of a bug in here. So when you're pressing this, this is the volume control. Now there's a little bit of a delay on there, but if you're pressing this, I've noticed that even though it's not showing up on the phone, because as you turn this, you'll actually see the volume level, it pops up on the phone like a little balloon. But I've noticed even when I've pressed this, and I'm not turning this, I've noticed that the sound sometimes has increased and sometimes decreased. So it is moving around ever so slightly. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. And it's a little clunky because, like I said, you're pressing this button. Now the Sonys are really cool because when you're wearing these headphones, okay, you control this, and it's on this side, so it's on the right side. It's gesture control. So when you're listening to a song and you want to advance it to the next one, all you got to do is swipe like that, okay, which is really cool. Also, you can tap in the middle. I haven't really used it for answering phone calls, but you can do that with that. Also, the volume, you go up and down here, and that's how you control the volume. So that's kind of cool that it's just all on this pad right here. Okay, that is really neat. And I'll show you a graphic of what that looks like. Actually, let me show it to you right now. So these are the nice, cool case that the Sonys come with. I wish the Apple had, the AirPods Max came with a really cool case because it would be so much better. And these are, I feel like when I have the headphones in here, that they're very well protected. Now you can see here, if you look at this, this is the controls for the gesture control. So when you see here, this is the volume going up and down and how you can advance it. Also, you can see there when you're, connecting a call, basically you can control everything with that. This is what it comes with. So when you get this, it comes with this cable, which is, you can plug this in. This is great because I can plug this into my cameras and my sound, and I can use this for wired sound, which is really great, with my equipment. And so that's a really cool feature. It comes with this USB cable, and then it comes with this jack here when you're using it wired on an airplane. You can see the little airplane there. So you can use that, which is really cool. Now, on the Apple headphones, okay, the only thing it comes with is the Lightning port connector to USB-C, and that's it. From there, you're on your own, and you can use these wired, but you have to get the plug, and I believe it's about $30. So you can go Lightning port into that mini plug, so you can plug this in and then use it as a wired sound device. Now, as I said earlier, why would you use that? Well, I use that with my recording devices and use that when I'm using the equipment with my camera. So let's kind of wrap this up. Let's look at the pros and cons of these headphones. Obviously, you can't hear them, and the sound is subjective. But I've tested out a lot of equipment, a lot of headphones, and while I'm not like a crazy audiophile, I like good sound. And I have to say that if you're on a budget and you want just a really good set of headphones and you want a lot of bass, I would say go with the Sonys. They're really good. You're not going to go wrong with these headphones at all. And if the quality, the other Sony headphones that I've had them for a few years, and they've been bounced around, and I've had no problem with them whatsoever. No issues with them whatsoever. They just always work. The batteries lasted a long time. No degrading there. These have really nice, the cushions on them. I actually like the way these feel. They have a really nice cushions, and you can do similar things like you can do with the Apple. Like I have it disabled, but you can, when you take them off, it can stop your music. It has a sensor in there to do that. And like I said, I think the noise canceling is just a little bit better, especially with noisy environment, like using it on my bike, which is very noisy, the exercise bike. These are the most noise canceling headphones that I've ever used. Now, I had real high hopes for these. I really thought that, Apple, these are premium. I really thought the sound was going to blow these out of the water, and it really didn't. It really didn't. They're very close. But the thing is, I have to say, even if you have all the money to spend and you want a lot of thumping bass, you're not going to get it with these. You got to go with these. And I would say really the only advantage with these for the money is maybe in the mid-range, and the highs is a little bit sharper and clearer, but it really depends on what you're listening to. Now, I will say this with these headphones, but what I want to do is I want to get into the headphones themselves, the sound. And you have with these Apple headphones, you have this. So you can do this this audio control, which kind of gives you kind of like this, it's kind of this surround sound type sound. Now, when I'm listening to music, I don't care for it. You may like it, I don't like it. And you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it fixed, or you can do it head tracked. So what that does is when you turn your head around, when you move your head, when you're listening to the headphones, so when you have them on and you're moving your head around, it sounds like the sound is right there in the room. The problem is when you're listening to music, I don't think it works that well. I think it works better when you're watching a movie. That's where I use it. When I open up HBO Max and if I watch a movie on HBO Max, I like that surround sound. I think it's really cool. So I will have that feature turned on. Now what's cool about this is that the headphones are smart. So when I'm watching a movie, okay, and I open up this app, it automatically has that turned on, okay? Now, when I go back to the Apple Music, it's not. And that's kind of cool. I like that. I want to talk about the transparency mode. Now, what's really cool about these headphones is they both feature a transparency mode. Now, how this one works is if you have the headphones on, and you can set it up a couple different ways, but if you have it set up where if you start talking, so if somebody starts talking to you, it will actually pause your music. Now, I found that sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work so well. So I have that disabled. But another way to do it is if somebody starts talking to you and you want to hear them, you don't have to take the headphones off. All you got to do is just take your hand and just cover up, well, it would be the right side. So this is the left and the right. You can see the markings there. So you would cover up this side, because this is the one with the gesture control. And when you put your hand over it like that, it's going to pause your music. And when it does that, it also puts the headphones into transparency mode. So there's a bunch of little microphones all over the outside of the headphones. And what those do is that's how the noise canceling works. So it's listening to the noise, and I'm not going to go into exactly how it works, but in a nutshell, it's canceling out the noise. So when you do that, it actually turns those on to regular microphones so you can hear. Now, it's a little muffled with these, but you can hear fine. So to put the the AirPods Max in transparency mode, you just press this button here. Now, when you do that, these are amazing. It sounds like the headphones aren't even on. It is incredible. Basically, the microphones, it is sharp and clear. In fact, when you have it in transparency mode and you don't have the volume, you're not listening to music, you feel like, other than that slight amount of weight, you feel like you don't even have the headphones on at all, which is really amazing. I mean, it's really cool. So these really one up the Sonys as far as that's concerned. But here's my take on that. I'm buying these for the sound. I don't really care about the transparency mode. I just want it to work. So if it's not quite crystal clear, like I don't have headphones at all, I don't think that needed to be engineered in there. I think the way that Sony engineered these, I think it's just fine. Now let's talk about the quality of the headphones. These are made out of some kind of like polycarbonate material, and they're, like I said, they're very light, but there is, I think, some kind of metal reinforcement here. And like I said, they look brand new, and I've been wearing them, every day for a month, both of these on and off, and they still look new. And even the cushions, everything is really comfortable. I really like these headphones a lot. Now let's take a look at these. Okay, same thing. These look great. They don't look like they're worn at all for a month. But I've been riding these with my bike, and these they get a little bit wet, and like these color, are they going to start to stain? These here, they're like made out of some kind of like vegan leather material, and you can just wipe them clean, okay? But here, you have these fabric. Now, sure, you can replace these. You can go, hey, Mark, you can get another set of these. Yeah, well, they're $69, okay? So it's something to be aware of, okay? And then there's this thing, okay? So I went online and I saw that there are companies that make mesh bands, okay? But they just cover this up, okay? Sort of. So they kind of clip in here, but I've read the reviews and they say that, yeah, you know what, that kind of hurts your head. So really you don't want to do that. But I noticed that this is not replaceable. This piece here, this mesh, And you know, what's this going to look like after a year, especially using this exercising? Is this start going to get sweaty and start to get stains on it? You know, and this is not replaceable. I've looked, and even when I looked at an iFixit video, they show this. This does disconnect here, but I'm sure this piece is expensive. So I think I've kind of covered kind of the pluses and minuses. Now, I've had these for about a month, and one of them is going back. And you'll have to tune into one of my future videos because I still haven't quite decided 100% which one I want to keep. I kind of go back and forth, but we're getting down to the wire and which one I want to keep. And the decision is really hard because on one hand, I really do like the base of these. I really do. But on the other hand, I do like these. They are kind of cool. I probably would right now keep these, okay? But let me tell you what holds me back. What holds me back is, you know, I like to keep my things looking new, and this whole thing, I don't really like it. I don't like this. In fact, I really like if it didn't have the mesh here, and I really wish this was removable. So that kind of holds me back. And yeah, I know I can get new, you know, covers, and yeah, I think there are aftermarket ones, but maybe they don't fit so well. And the thing is, I bought this for the best sound, so I'm not going to put aftermarket, you know, ear covers on. I'm going to have to get the Apple ones for $69, okay? And the other thing too is I like to use the headphones, and especially I want to use these headphones because they're great and great sound. I want to use these when I'm using it with my recording equipment on my cameras. So I'm going to have to go out and spend more money on that cable, which on this one, it comes with it, and it's pretty universal and easy to get. So that's another thing to think about. So really, it's kind of up to you, and really I haven't decided 100%. So I would say it really boils down to two things. If you like a lot of bass, go with the Sonys. No matter what the costs are, just get these because you're really gonna love them. They're really great. If you want to be in the Apple ecosystem, then I would say get these, okay? Because like I said, you know, these are just gonna connect to all your devices, no problem whatsoever, okay? It's gonna connect to your computer. You're not gonna have to go into settings or anything like that. Once you connect to each one of those devices for the first time, it's gonna automatically connect to them, no problem. So I would say that's kind of the thinking there. So it really depends on what you want to do. But as far as sound quality, they're very, very close. I would say, like I said, just ever so slightly, these maybe a little bit sharper and clearer, you know, on the mids and highs, but it's really hard to detect. I would say like watching movies, they're really close. But on the movie thing, you know, I do like the, you know, the head tracking surround sound that these do. And like I said, but it's, in a way, that's kind of like a gimmick. So once if I didn't have these and I was wearing these for a while, I would forget all about that because these are just every bit as good, I would say. Now, in the long term, I don't know. Are these headphones that you can keep for years and years? Well, sure. But here's the thing to think about these, okay? You can't replace the batteries in these. And sure, you can't replace the batteries in these either. But like I said, I have a pair of Sony headphones that are a few years old. They're actually probably 5 or 6 years old, and the battery life on them is the same as the day that I got them. So I would say that the build quality, and you know, it's a Sony product that, you know, it has a good long-lasting battery in there, so I don't worry about it so much. And also, it's a lot cheaper. The thing is, as equipment gets better, you can go ahead and upgrade these. With these, you know, these are almost twice the cost. So when you're getting these are something you might want to hang on to a little bit longer. So that's something to think about. Like I said, I'm still kind of on the fence. I'm still down to the wire trying to figure out which one I want to keep because I'll wear these for a while and I really like them. Now I see why some people own both, but that's a very expensive proposition. And for me, I test these things out. I buy all my own stuff. That's not something I'm interested in doing. I'm going to pick one or the other. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to leave comments, and I will get back to you in the comments if you have more questions. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.